Hello, welcome. My name is Yiheng Yang, and welcome to the second online International Fortepiano Salon. I'm speaking to you here and co-hosting with Maria Rose and Matthew Bengtson in Michigan. And I myself am here in Holmdel, New Jersey, in the United States. We're so excited to welcome our friends and musicians and audience members from around the world. Today's salon is entitled From Ann Arbor to Vienna to Florence and to New York City. And we ask you in the chat boxes of Facebook and YouTube where you're watching the live stream to now please introduce yourself by typing in your name and where you're from and what you're doing during this time in music and otherwise. We want to know you and welcome you and say hello to your friends and colleagues from around the world. So my name is Yiheng Yang. I'm one of the directors, along with Maria Rose and Audrey Axon, of the Academy of Fortepiano Performance, which takes place in Hunter, New York, and is sponsored by the Catskill Mountain Foundation. The salon you're watching today is an initiative of the Academy of Fortepiano Performance, which was born out of this difficult time of the pandemic. It is a way for our musical community to continue sharing and encouraging one another to produce good music at our forte pianos and to know what we're all doing, even while we're isolated and alone. I am a pianist and a forte pianist, and I teach at the Juilliard School. I'm a faculty, and I teach all kinds of things like keyboard skills, chamber music, improvisation, forte piano, modern piano. So I just wanted to, speak from my own experience that this salon is really a time for us to come together as a musical community who are passionate about playing on early pianos, hearing good music by talents, and discovering new performers all the time. We're in a time of hardship and challenge, deprivation and suffering. We can't pretend that we're not. But it is in these times that new creativity comes out of these situations that we don't want to be in. And what a joy it has been through this salon program to start to hear from so many of you and to have a sampling like today of the great variety of amazing artists who continue to do their work despite all they're going through and have so much to share with us. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart to all the wonderful artists and musicians who are playing today and have participated in previous salons. So once again, please say hello and tell us where you're watching from and who you are in the chat boxes. And now I hand it over to my co-host, Maria Rose, to say hello as well.
Hello, everyone. Very nice to see so many wonderful responses from both performers, audiences, music lovers, and I don't have much to add to what Yiheng said. Only that as fortepiano performers, we all know that one of the biggest problems is moving our instruments, and one of the great things that has come out of this strange situation of online performing is that we don't have to move our instruments, and we just have to hope they're in tune, because it's not easy to take care of them either. My name is Maria Rose. I'm originally from the Netherlands, and I live up in the Catskill Mountains north of New York City. With in the back you see one of my fortepianos, and I met I got to know the Piano Performance Museum now about 5 years ago, which is not very far from here in the Catskill Mountains in a small town called Hunter. And as you saw in the opening video, it is a most wonderful place to perform and to teach and to think about music. And we had a wonderful opportunity to to gather every year there with some very special students and faculty and spend a week just thinking about fortepianos. So we were very lucky to have that. But today we're very excited to travel all around the world, and starting in Ann Arbor, and then from there we'll have other guests in Vienna and in Florence who will be joining us live. And so please stay tuned. And here I would like to hand over the camera to Matthew Bengtson in Ann Arbor.
Greetings.
Hi, Matt.
Thank you, Maria and Yihang. It's been great to reconnect with you both through these difficult times of pandemic. But I also want to echo what you said, how wonderful it is that, I did an online presentation on fortepiano for the students at Northwestern University a couple days ago. And I was out this morning and got back at noon and just had to tune a couple notes and ready to go. So quite a relief from the usual situation of having to move and tune and worry about the hall lights and so forth. So it's a wonderful way to share fortepiano playing in particular. So introducing myself, I'm Matthew Bengtson. I am an assistant professor at University of Michigan. I teach courses in piano literature and seminars in piano repertoire, history, culture. I teach modern piano, and I also teach fortepiano. And we have a significant tradition in fortepiano here in Ann Arbor. Most notably, my predecessor here was Penelope Crawford, who ran a great program, began a wonderful seminar for doctoral students that I'm actually teaching right now about 18th century performance practice. So that's just briefly about me. I'll talk a little bit more about myself and some things that I've done later, but I want to start with some music. It is, of course, a difficult time, but I chose a sonata by Beethoven, Opus 31, number 1, which was from around 1802, which is the same time as his Heiligenstadt Testament when he realized he was losing his hearing. So obviously it was a very difficult time for Beethoven. But at this period, he also produced some of his most whimsically, impishly humorous, comedic piano sonatas. And this one in particular, it seems almost like a comedy of errors. The hands aren't together, and he's going to all the wrong keys all the time. And it's in very high spirits. So I think that will be good for us to hear right now. I realized somewhere in the exposition of that piece I had kind of a breach of decorum here because we're all interested not only in what I do and my music and so forth and what piece I'm playing, but also the instrument, of course. This is a copy of a circa 1785 Fortepiano by, it was an Anton Walter original, and it was copied by Gerard Tuinman of Holland. Wonderful piano. I'll also credit the restorers. Thomas and Barbara Wolf have done some very helpful work for me over the years on this instrument. It's an early Walter. It's extremely light. It's a wonderfully beautiful, refined Viennese sound. It works well for especially very humorous Haydn-esque character pieces such as this one. And needless to say, it's an absolutely beautiful Mozart piano. Okay, as I say, I'm a co-host here from Ann Arbor, so let's talk a little bit about the University of Michigan. We do have a program here in Fortepiano performance. You can get a master's degree in that, and I have actually a current student here with us today who's in the program of Masters in Fortepiano Performance, and this is Angie Chang. So welcome, Angie. Why don't you tell us about yourself and tell everybody you're a modern pianist also. How is it that you discovered early pianos and what got you excited about them?
For sure. Thank you so much. An amazing job. I really enjoyed the Beethoven. Thank you to the co-hosts. It's such an honor and pleasure to be here. I am also in Ann Arbor currently, where I am a doctoral student in piano performance, and I'm also concurrently pursuing a master's degree in fortepiano with Professor Bankston. So my journey with early instruments began when I was at Juilliard. I studied at Juilliard for 13 years prior to coming to the University of Michigan. And I remember playing a little bit on the forte piano. I always went to hear the Juilliard 415 concerts. They just blew my mind, and I was very lucky to have a lot of wonderful professors who really, made me dig deep into historical performance and practice, and I just was hooked from the very start. But it really wasn't until, 2 summers ago, when I was teaching and performing at Piano Sonoma, which is a festival out in Sonoma, California, where I met Charles Metz, who was a performer on the first Salon. And he miraculously, as somebody who plays modern piano, I don't carry around my instrument ever. So it was amazing to meet somebody who did, lug up his own forte piano up to Sonoma, and it's very, very beautiful. I have a few videos on YouTube showcasing that particular piano. I'm just in love with it, and I asked him one day if I could sit down and play a few notes, and it turned into an hour of sight reading Schubert sonatas and playing through some Beethoven and Mozart pieces I had in my hands. Never had a more fulfilling 1 hour, and so we really hit it off. Since then, as I was looking towards where I would do my doctorate studies, I found out that University of Michigan offers a master's degree in forte piano, like Professor Bengtson said. And so it's been an amazing journey to be here studying 2 instruments. And also this semester, I'm taking harpsichord as well. So I'm really getting to do a lot here. And yeah.
Angie is the real thing. I mean, usually when we begin students who've had modern piano adjusting to early piano, I'm sure many of you in the audience will have had this experience. There's this moment of horror that it's so difficult to control, and there was almost no adjustment period whatsoever. She was immediately in very good control of her playing, making a beautiful sound and very stylish. So it's really a pleasure to just touch up all the nice things around the edges. And Angie, you got a recording for us today, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So tell us what you played, and then let's hear it.
Okay, so I will be sharing a recording I made very recently on a 1790s style forte piano here at the University of Michigan by Paul McNulty. And the selection I chose to perform on it is Mozart's Sonata K3 310, first movement.
Hi, that was wonderful. Very exciting performance. Thank you very much. We're going to change now drastically to the other side of the world, and I'm happy to introduce Richard Fuller for the next segment. Hi, Richard. Uh, Richard Fuller is probably well known to many of you, and he has been performing and teaching and recording for many, many years. And we're so excited to have him here in our program. Richard, I hope you can tell us a little bit about what your life in Vienna is like at the moment, whether you are able to move around at all, or whether you're able to go and play, or whether you're just stuck at home, just like all of us. And the instrument you will be playing, and the very unusual piece you'll be playing. I'm very interested in the composer, who's a bit of a mystery to me. He was quite famous in his day and wrote a lot of music. And he was supposedly one of the first composers to really live off of the proceeds of the music he composed and published. So I'm very curious to hear what you have to say about it.
Yeah, okay. As far as I think our life is not so much different from anybody else's right now. Been in lockdown for so long. I think this is probably the first public performance I've had in 5 or 6 months, or the video of the performance. But normally, Von Hall, I've been a freelance musician for 35 years. Played fortepiano primarily, but also passionate clavichord player and also harpsichord. And of course, spent a lot of time and a lot of energy in the Mozart repertoire, concertos and piano sonatas, and Haydn. I'm also a great fan of Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach. As far as Van Hal goes, he is, as you say, relatively little known, but he was among the early group of composers that immigrated from Czechia to Austria, to Vienna, because there were more possibilities there. What I find fascinating about Van Hal is several years ago, I acquired a set of 12 trio sonatas, which must have been produced around mid-century, perhaps 1760. And these are trio sonatas with figured bass, and he clearly has one foot in the Baroque period with his music. By the time we reach these last 3 sonatas that he published in 1812, I think, we have a composer who's really right on the cusp of the Romantic period. It provides a similar position historically in this sense to people like Ladislas Dussek, or in France, Cynthia Jardin. A classical point of view in terms of forms and in terms of development of material and in terms of keyboard configuration, et cetera, but a decidedly romantic spirit behind it. And one other point about this piece that I find interesting, particularly this first movement from his sonata in G minor, is that it strikes me often that it's similar to Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach. That you have these fragments of ideas and either expected or unexpected interruptions, an abundance of thematic material, and yet it all hangs together marvelously. It's actually quite remarkable music with the kaleidoscopic changes of effects, etc. So that's Von Hall in a nutshell. Shall we listen to it, or do you have another question?
All right. And so, on which piano? What type of piano will you?
Okay. Yeah, this is. I have to say ahead of time on this that I'm a real Stein freak. Piano 1975. I think it started out building harpsichords and pianos back then. And this instrument is one of two which I have by the same maker, unfortunately passed away, from Germany, Werner Keil. This is a Stein reproduction copy. It's a 1780s. It's based on a 1780s instrument. I have to be a little bit careful about words like reproduction, copy, and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Based on that, and it's. I've really been very lucky in the way instruments have sort of come over the years. This is a wonderful instrument for chamber music. It's a good concerto instrument. I think.
Great. All right. We'll look forward to hearing it. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, Richard. That was absolutely amazing. That music, it's just beautiful and very imaginative. I think we all need to pay more attention to the music. And I couldn't help but think that I actually read earlier today in the Wikipedia article about Van Gaal that his life was rather long and lacked stress. And this, so in other words, I think in the Romantic era, composers who were not known to suffer greatly or had to be very unimportant. But this music is so imaginative. And anyway, thank you very much. We now take another plane flight all the way to Florence, and we're very happy to meet Patricia Garcia-Gil, who is joining us. She is from Spain, but she is now and works in Florence, and we're very, very happy to have her in our program today. Welcome, Patricia.
Thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity, and well done, everybody. It's been so great to get to know new people that are interested for the fortepiano as I am, and passionate about it. And good to know new pieces, instruments, and it's so interesting. It's such a good idea to be connected and to share our passion between us, but also with a larger audience. So thank you.
Yes, and we're so happy that people are, compared to last time, really introducing themselves in the chat boxes, and so we really have a sense of community and sharing. So,
exactly, and I'm so overwhelmed because I see so many friends that have connected to follow us.
You just want to step out of the computer and go have some coffee. Right.
Yes.
But anyway, we'll look forward to the days that all that is possible. But none of us will be together so easily and so incredibly intimately from our living rooms as we are today. So this is a wonderful opportunity to do that. Now we're very excited about everything that you're going to show us. Patricia teaches in and does all kinds of different things in spite of the pandemic in Florence, and she is at the Accademia Bartolomeo Cristofori. And in April, we're going to do another salon where she is going to host as more the collection itself. But today she has shared with us a video that she has made of an interview with one of the restorers in the Laboratorio, which is a part of the collection, I understand. And following that, she will perform a Beethoven Pathétique Sonata, the first movement. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about both of them. First of all, the video that we will see of the workshop.
Yes, exactly. So today, because of different reasons and the sanitary measures that we are having here now in Italy, I wasn't able to perform from there. But yes, I'm so looking forward to be able to perform from the collection itself in April. So this Laboratorio di Restauro del Fortepiano is a workshop inside a collection. So the collection belongs to Stefano Fiuzzi, and the workshop is just really inside, literally in the same building. So 3 women have been working there for 30 years, taking care of the instruments from the collection, but also external instruments that people bring to them because of their really good work. So yeah, the video, I thought it was nice to use the little video that is part of a larger project that I do with my partner who works in the video industry. And so this is a project that is called The Piano, Past and Future. And we will share the links afterwards if you're interested. It's just a documentary web series. It's little episodes with the intention of just to bring the value and the interest of the fortepiano to a wide audience, especially to the young people, by using the audiovisual medium, which is quite a fresh and innovative approach, we hope, to the topic. So just is that the intention? So there are really short episodes talking about different things, interviewing people. Sometimes I perform in them. Sometimes we take part of my concerts. Sometimes it's just a visit to a museum, like we went to the Metropolitan Museum or the Carolina Music Museum last year. Not last year, it was 2019 already. This is a video in which we introduce and we interview the three workers, the three women that work as restorers in this workshop inside the Bartolomeo Cristofori collection. And then I will perform, I use this video that I recorded there, just like, really, it was kind of 2 days before the first lockdown here in Italy. Okay. So actually that piano remained there for longer. It's an original Graf, Conrad Graf, from around 1840, so it's quite late, yes. And it belongs to Christoph Hammer in Germany.
Oh, yes, I know.
He's also here somewhere in the YouTube or Facebook. So thank you for the piano and for letting me use the video. I usually go to the workshop to play on the pianos while they restore them, so I can let them know what I think that's going on, and the pianos get played and settle down while being restored. And then they continue working on them, and they're very sensitive with the relationship with the performers. So right. I think
they talk about that in the video, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I perform on this very special and really beautiful Graf, the Pathétique Sonata. And I just remember it as a very special moment because we already could feel the tension of and the danger that was coming with the lockdown. So it was, because it was right before. So I still remember that moment as escape from all this situation, and then right at the end of the old world. So it was, very related also to the sonata. I felt it that way.
Right. Oh, great.
So I hope you enjoy it, and thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Siamo nel laboratorio di restauro del fortepiano e insieme a Antonella e Barbara da 30 anni restauriamo pianoforti antichi. Il fortepiano è semplicemente un pianoforte antico, è stato inventato a Firenze e noi ci occupiamo di strumenti dal 1760-70 al 1830-35. Ci siamo specializzate nell'arco di questi 30 anni nel restauro, nella cura, nell'archiviazione e nella comprensione di questi strumenti. E chiaramente uno non finisce mai perché tutti gli strumenti sono diversi, le scuole di costruzione sono diverse e quindi è un fiume che continua a scorrere. musicisti con un'altissima sensibilità che provano lo strumento e quindi ci danno anche indicazioni di come aggiustare certe cose oppure no, ecco, oppure...
Che anche secondo me, io come fortepianista, è una cosa super interessante, perché è quasi come lavorare col costruttore, che poi ora non si fa più. Quando te compri un pianoforte moderno
è così,
è così, te lo portano a casa e quello hai.
Sì. Insomma, c'è uno scambio bellissimo, ecco, con i musicisti, da cui abbiamo tutti e due da imparare, ecco, perché è chiaro che sono gli strumenti antichi, devono venire capiti.
Thank you, Patricia. That was just so exciting. And thank you for sharing all of your wonderful thoughts with us and your beautiful playing. Before we hear our last performer, Hilda Huang, I just want to thank all of you for joining us, for connecting with one another. Thank you to our amazing performers. I what a treat to hear all of this great music making. I'm so inspired. Before Hilda plays, I just want to remind you there is a Zoom reception after our Q&A, after Hilda plays. So after Hilda plays, you may type questions about anything you like to any of our performers or hosts about music, about fortepiano, and there will be a panel Q&A on StreamYard. After that, you may click on the Zoom link you received in your email and continue to socialize with us and say hello in a Zoom reception. So that Zoom link is in the email you received with the live stream links. Thank you so much to the Catskill Mountain Foundation for supporting and sponsoring the salons, and to our wonderful artistic and executive director, Pam Weisberg, and her wonderful staff, Sarah and Joan. And thank you to our amazing sponsors and donors. If you are in a position to help contribute to the salons, please look at the email and there is a link to donate. Thank you so much. It's my great pleasure to welcome our last performer, Hilda Huang. Hilda Huang, hello, Hilda. I believe you are in Connecticut right now.
I am. I am enjoying the country and about 18 inches of snow.
Wow. Good that you're inside, but I hope you enjoy the beautiful snow as well. Hilda is currently a doctoral student at the Juilliard School in the modern piano, and was a prize winner at the ripe old age of 18, which I guess was a while ago now, not too long ago. First prize winner at the Leipzig Bach competition, and performs all over the world, basically, and is a very accomplished young musician. Hilda, tell us what got you started with the fortepiano amongst your other wonderful pursuits.
When I started playing concerts, I realized that I had to figure out what my repertoire would be. I had these concert programs, generally 80, 90 minutes, and I didn't know what to put on them other than Bach. So I started playing a lot of Beethoven. I felt a kind of opposite connection to Beethoven. And just like Bach got me into harpsichord, Beethoven got me into fortepiano. I worked a little bit with Matthew Bengtson up in Ithaca at the Cornell collection, and he introduced me to a wide range of different kinds of fortepianos that I didn't know existed yet. Mm-hmm. And one thing led to another, and now I play the music of Bach's son.
So tell us, what will we be hearing you play now, Hilda?
Today I'll share the 5th Württemberg Sonata by C.P.E. Bach. It's the Württemberg sonatas and the Prussian sonatas were probably the most significant keyboard sonata collections to come out between, I guess, the early 1700s and then before Haydn and Mozart. I'm actually going to be playing it on the Juilliard School Regier fortepiano, which is a copy of a Graf. So it's a piano that's modeled after one made from the early mid 1800s, which was much later than when C.P. Bach lived. But that was the one that was in tune. And sometimes we talk about historical pianists taking whatever they had. And that is a situation I found myself in. So I took what I had and I ran with it.
Well, I think we'll find that despite the piano not quite matching the time period of the piece, Hilda has made beautiful music with this combination. And indeed, we are in a time where we have to work with what we have. And it's so great to have you on, Hilda. So here's Hilda playing the 5th Württemberg Sonata by C.P.E. Bach. Thanks, Hilda, for joining us.
My pleasure.
That was Hilda Huang playing the Fifth Württemberg Sonata. Bravo, Hilda. Bravo. That was a spectacular performance.
Thank
And
you.
bravo to all our performers for just amazing playing and sharing your spirit, your creativity, your performances with us today. Maria, do you have any words? Right now is our Q&A panel time, where you can type in questions in this very moment, and any of our performers will be happy to answer any questions about their instruments, about what they played, about their musical lives. So please type in your questions now in the Facebook and YouTube chat. And then if you wish to join us for our Zoom reception, that will be happening in about 5 to 10 minutes. You just click on the Zoom link that you received in your email or in the chat boxes, and you can join us there and we can talk some more and say hello.
I know there was one question in the audience for Richard. Somebody was asking who the maker was of your piano, because I did not exactly hear it.
Yeah, it was made in Schriesheim, which is just outside of Heidelberg. It was built, it's practically a historical instrument. It was built in 85, and it was built by a gentleman named Werner Keil.
Kyle, okay.
Kyle, and he when he was alive, he specialized in building Stein instruments. As far as we know, there are between 50 and 60 instruments that he has built, and they're increasingly wünschenswert oder begehrt oder was? Desirable.
Right.
Okay.
Is that the piano that's behind you? Is that
that's the same one we used for the recording? I have a second one downtown that is also by Werner Keil, but it's the last piano I ever built.
Because it almost looks more to me like a Walter piano with the handling.
I can't. Interesting that you mentioned that. All the Walters have this kind of whacked off feel. No. But that's an interesting conversation with a friend of mine.
Sorry. I said
Mr. Radbourne. You're breaking up. Sorry, I can't.
Yeah.
Mr. Radbourne in southern Germany and I had a very interesting discussion about these kinds of pianos. There were some French makers that opted for this sort of Stein look, and of course Ferdinand Hofmann and a few others in Vienna also also used basically this pattern. It's one of the most elegant to look at fortepianos that there are, in my opinion. And yeah, it's not only optically elegant, but also a little tricky to handle, but very satisfying.
The sound was incredible. It was very rich, a very rich sound. Well, the way you played it.
Well, I'll pass it on to my son. My son made the video of that performance, and he'll be glad to hear that.
Okay, good.
Richard, there's actually a follow-up question for you from Andrew Willis. Hi, Andrew Willis, our wonderful colleague in North Carolina.
Yeah, I know Andrew. Yeah.
Andrew says, Richard, wonderful to hear you. Is that Van Hals sonata published or otherwise available?
I'm really glad that he asked that question because, yes, Musikhaus Doblinger in Vienna puts out a lot of such pieces. My good friends in Iowa at Luther College, John and Virginia Strauss, have edited 2 volumes of piano sonatas by Van Hal, and they're presently working on all the piano trios of Pleyel. They've also put out the 3 Opus 40 quartets by Van Hal. So you can get this stuff, but it's through Doblinger in Vienna.
Thank you. Okay. I think we're all, our curiosity is definitely whetted to pursue more Van Hal.
Yeah.
As I told some of you,
it's going to hit the big time now.
I only knew the double bass concerto by Van Hal because I'm married to a double bassist. Little did I know.
You've accompanied that. Yeah.
I know, but I didn't know there was all this great keyboard and chamber music. So thank you.
He also wrote between 90 and 100 symphonies.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's hard to say. I mean, he cranked out an incredible amount of music.
But I thought the sonata was very symphonic.
Mm-hmm.
It has a very broad range, the sonata you play.
It does, and what's also interesting about these late things, he was stylistically, as I said, he was at the threshold of romantic.
Right.
But he wrote everything within the compass of the 5-octave piano.
Yeah.
He had this sort of this grandiose notion of what music could be, but he operated within, I will not say the confines, but within the compass of the 5-octave piano. All of his stuff, nothing goes beyond that, even very late in his life.
Well, it's like the early Beethoven works where in some ways they sound bigger when you play them on the 5-octave piano than if you play them on a 7.5 octave instrument. They're so clearly, taking up the whole instrument and not just working in a small part of it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We have a question from Leslie Powell. Hi, Leslie and Stan. They're my good friends in Manhattan. She says, can any of you recommend a good YouTube video on the history of the keyboard?
Well,
I believe, Matthew, you have a video or two
introducing. I'm surprised, delighted actually by how many hits I got on that video, which is must be 15 years old now, but I just got piqued ultimately by so many people asking me, well, is that a piano forte or a forte piano, or what's the difference between that? And people just have no idea what any of these words mean, so I decided that somebody really needed to make a video and at least give some sort of general idea what a forte piano is, and now many people have watched it, and this is the instrument that was used on that video.
Great. Okay, so Leslie and everyone, you can look for Matthew's video on YouTube.
I don't have access to chat today very easily for some reason. I would type in the link, but if you just Google my name and forte piano, it's very likely to show up. And I would be happy to also recommend. I have a video of playing Mozart variations, K500, and Beethoven Sonata Opus 26 on the McNulty forte piano that Angie played today.
Thank you. Okay, and David Keltzenberg writes that David Schrader has a nice video on YouTube. So there's that. Knowing the Score by Malcolm Bilson, produced at Cornell University. That's a wonderful introductory video on classical performance practice and the world of fortepianos.
And then David Brightman's recent book, made the chat I saw on YouTube about what pianists can learn from historical pianos.
Mm-hmm.
And also, there's something of mine I would like to plug, if you don't mind. It's coming out shortly on Coursera. There's going to be a kind of a history of the piano sonata genre, which is really more about repertoire and everything, but I try to use, I use harpsichords for Scarlatti, and I use this for Mozart, and I use the McNulty for Beethoven, and I've got an Erard for Chopin, and so forth. So I'm hoping that people get to hear music in the context that it was imagined when they follow that course. So it should be out in another month or two.
And Dunya Verve, hello Dunya, is a good friend and colleague in the fortepiano world at the Helfink Museum in Holland. She is writing on the YouTube chat to welcome everyone to visit the Helfink Museum when they reopen in Holland, and they have a wonderful collection there and a website. Hello Dunya.
I was just about to write that, it would be wonderful to maybe host a salon from any one of those collections if she is able to organize it.
Okay. So, any other questions? Thank you again to our wonderful performers. Please join us now for our Zoom reception. If this were, Matthew says, will that be on CD or DVD? I'm not quite sure what this is referring
Is this regarding the MOOC? That's going to be on Coursera, so it's online content that you can register through Coursera and pick that up. I'm told that'll be out in early April.
Can I before we sign off, can I tell everybody to please join us next time, on exactly 4 weeks from today, same time, for the next salon, which will be hosted by Pierre Gois from Geneva. And we will be discussing paddling in Beethoven sonatas based on early editions and mid-19th century editions. And he has an interesting video for all of us to share, to share with all of us about his students who are following the instructions of the editions. Anyway, that will be exactly 4 weeks from today. So we hope to see many of you again at that time.
Could I ask a question real quick?
Please.
Will tonight's program be available at your website anywhere, or does that stay on YouTube or Facebook or what?
Yes.
This particular salon, I will put a link again on our website. It will stay up for a while, so and you can send the YouTube link for I don't know, an indefinite amount of time to people to watch. Yes.
Yeah, we had some friends that missed it.
No, many. I'm sending it to many, and it will also be on our website for anybody who is curious.
Good, thank you.
We have a couple more questions coming in. Have any of you played the same piece on multiple types of pianos? This is a question from Carl Patrick Bolea. Hello, Carl, our friend from Juilliard in New York.
Hi, Carl.
For example, modern piano and forte piano, how do you navigate those adjustments?
Oh, wow.
Who would like to take that question? That's a great question. Have any of you played the same piece on multiple types of pianos?
Yeah, I'm going to be really short because I'm sure everybody has a lot to say about it. The first thing I often tell people is it's a little bit the difference between playing tennis and playing ping pong. And when you play on the early instruments, there's such a more direct connection with the action of the piano, of a different type of connection with the action of the piano, and you have to be very responsive and very sensitive to the subtleties of the action that can be quite hard to learn. I remember a Mozart concerto that I played both on modern piano and on the fortepiano, and it is it is both fascinating. I mean, both have so much sound to offer that is different, and it changes your tempos. It changes the voices that you tend to bring out, and it's one could write a book about how different it can be without, and it's still being the same piece.
David just did. Great.
All right, that's my take.
I mean, everybody has a lot to say. I mean, the Goldberg
Yeah.
Variations is the obvious
That's
piece for
a
me.
complicated subject.
That
Yeah.
I've played both on harpsichord and piano a lot. And what I found is that in the beginning, when you adjust to the other instrument, you get very frustrated because you couldn't do what you could do before. And then you get used to it, and then you like it better. And then when you switch back and forth, there are always different things that you've lost, and then you recover and you find a new way. That's with Goldberg. With Mozart, I find that I'm frustrated when I go to the modern piano. I feel that I've lost a lot and I haven't gained much. Where it's a more complex questions with chamber music, and that's where I think the first Beethoven cello sonata would be the piece I probably played the most, switching back and forth, and that's where the keyboardist's role is. On the fortepiano, you're just playing out as much as you can, struggling to be heard, and on the modern piano, it's very much the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I always find playing on the fortepiano is liberating because you're not constrained by the feeling that you need to be careful that you don't play on the instrument in a way that was more from a later period. You know, you're always, when you play Mozart on the modern piano, you always have to really work on keeping the right sound and the right character, whereas on the fortepiano, it almost goes naturally and automatically.
It's also, how you utilize the energy involved, because if you play the fortepiano mostly, it's have the feeling that you never quite can develop enough muscle to handle modern game. And I've found that if you're in good shape on the modern piano, the muscles and coordinations, it's all a little bit hard. It's less flexible than when you go to the piano. The fortepiano requires a certain, flexibility, but it's a strong suppleness would be a good way of putting it.
Yeah,
I'm being clear about that, but I find I gave up trying to go back and forth.
I'm reminded of what a student of Chopin said that or he himself said about the difference between playing an Erard and a Pleyel, where the Erard, when he didn't feel very well, he didn't feel physically great, he preferred to play the Erard because the tone was ready-made and beautiful. But when he was feeling really alert and supple, like you say, Richard, he preferred to play the Pleyel because it was much more subtle and delicate and responsive.
And another point, and I'll be quiet. Almost the ideal school for fingers and coordination and everything, the fortepiano is the clavichord. I don't know how much others have done with the clavichord. I find that that's an instrument that it requires a certain suppleness, but it develops a certain strength, Festigkeit is what I want to say in German, that is good for fortepiano. I don't know if anyone else has had that experience.
Well, we have at our academy, we have Masayaki Maki, who is our clavichord teacher, and he is at every year he's been teaching clavichord to pianists, and they all say that they learn an incredible amount of skill and sensitivity from playing the clavichord. So yes, that's very true.
It's also good for the ears too.
Right. I'd be curious what Hilda and Angie is, and Patricia too. All of you play a lot of modern piano too. If you want to add anything.
I think the question applies also when you change a lot from one fortepiano to another, because that's also very different from one to another. But I don't know if you feel this too, but I think there's something also psychological about the approach that you put into playing on one or another instrument. It doesn't matter if it's a fortepiano or a piano. And what attracts me more about the fortepiano is that it, at least to me, it made me develop a different relationship with the instruments, more like a dialogue in which you have to listen to what it gives you. So you cannot just apply the same thing to every performance, but you have to be very open to what the instrument has and its beauty, and which is different from another instrument. So the performance become more flexible, and you even never know what's going to be, how it's going to be, how you're going to approach it. You have to keep always very open to it. So I think then when you develop that skill and that relationship to the instrument, then you can apply it also to modern piano. And I think learning fortepiano helps playing modern piano actually in that way. So I don't know if you feel the same.
Angie and Hilda, we haven't heard from you guys.
Yeah.
Dying to hear what you think.
Yeah, totally agree with what Patricia said. I find that on a really good 9-foot modern piano, the same thing can apply.
Yeah,
You get into that headspace where you feel so free and so liberated, and you're able to really, like you said, have a dialogue with the instrument. Right. Instead of, we should never be fighting the instrument. And so I used to play cello, and I remember feeling like I could do that with the cello, because it's just so freeing to have a bow, to be able to crescendo on a note, to put different, varying speeds of vibrato on a note. And so I think I know Hilda probably has a lot to say as well, so I'll just make it very brief. I think keeping within the context of the piece I played today, which is a very different kind of Mozart sonata. It's in obviously A minor. It's a very intense and kind of somber key. I find that I'm able to do so much more with my left hand on the fortepiano than I would be able to on the modern piano for every piece that I play on the fortepiano. But I was especially drawn to it playing what I played today, and which was why I wanted to feature this selection for today's Salon. I just felt like this piece really made a big difference, like if I played it on a modern piano versus a fortepiano. So yeah, I think one final thought I would add is that I think everything we work on when we practice on the modern piano, we don't have to on the fortepiano, because the music was written for the fortepiano. Right. And I don't need to practice on the fortepiano. Everything I have inside my head just kind of comes out and it sounds right. And I think that's when you feel that way, you feel very liberated and free, and I could play it for just hours on end without feeling like it's any trouble at all. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I have the same experience, Angie.
Absolutely. It's really
Hilda.
Oh, sorry, excuse me.
No.
I just thought it was really interesting when I started hearing you play, Angie, because that same Mozart sonata was also the first piece that I played on fortepiano, and I had immediately before been playing it on modern piano, and I remember feeling like, oh, I can't do anything with my left hand, because if I play louder, I'm going to bang the out of this thing and it's going to sound terrible. And that's when I realized, like Patricia was saying, you don't need to do it. The instrument will do it for you. And taking a step back and realizing how little you actually have to do gives a lot of credit to both the composer and to the instrument, which I really appreciate. Takes me out of the picture.
I would like to to throw in a little monkey wrench in that I actually think that particular sonata Mozart composed in Paris, where they had English square pianos mostly, and it sounds very different on those pianos as it does on the Viennese action pianos. And I think he was in that particular sonata, he was really adjusting to the more to the Zumba action, the early English square piano action, which sounds a little bit less strident in the so slightly more like a blending, and not like a modern piano, but not quite as strident as the Viennese piano. So I actually think that's what this, because he doesn't really do that in any of his other sonatas. This kind of repeated chords in the left hand, which are quite strident on the Viennese piano. So to throw a little bit of sand in the idea.
Although he was exposed to those kinds of pianos much younger, wasn't he? I mean, I very much enjoy playing Haydn and Mozart on squares, I have to say.
Yeah.
And that piece would clearly work very well.
Right. Yeah, I think it balances a little bit better on those instruments. Yeah, I mean, he probably was familiar with it, but it was not just that he knew the pianos, but he was writing for a different audience there. And it's very much in the style of the Edelman, the French contemporaries, and who are all kind of recreating Gluck operas, with that kind of intensity and drama, and that's the audience he's writing for in that sonata, I think.
So this is a wonderful discussion. I suggest we conclude our time here on StreamYard and transition to Zoom. For those of you who aren't joining us in Zoom, you're missing wonderful wine and cheese platters. Just kidding. But go to the bathroom, get a drink of water or a cup of tea, and join us in the Zoom reception. And the link is posted in the email. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Come back for our next salon next month with Pierre Gua on March 24th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you. Our 27th. Okay. Thank you for our wonderful performers.
Thank you all so much for participating.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Okay. Bravo, everyone. Thanks again.